All right, welcome back to another Roland MC-707 tutorial. In this video, we're going to take a look at starting your own new project and steps to take to get you set up, and a few exercises to help you get familiar with functions you will be using along the way. This will be a little longer than most of my short tutorial videos, so if something long isn't for you, then go ahead and check out some of the other videos on specific features. But this one, we're going to get into building a project. The first thing you want to do is press your project button and then use your C4 to scroll to New. Once you're there, press C4 as a button, scroll to OK, and either press Enter or C4 as a button for the same Enter function. Once you have a new project, you will see that your first track will be a drum track, and your second track is a tone track. Now these are by default how the MC-707 works, and we're also going to press the third track select, and we're going to choose another tone track by either pressing Enter or pressing C4 like a button. And then on track 4, press select and scroll with C4 to choose a looper track. Now that you have those, let's go back and look at our drum track. Now, before we get into any selection of sounds or getting into our tracks, there are one or two things you want to check on the project level to make your workflow familiar. So press the project button and scroll on over to Set. Press the C4 or Enter to enter that. You're presented with the Common tab with 3 selections. First being your project level, second your master tune, and the third is the first scene. The main thing I want to look at here is your project level. It is by default at 100, and I suggest turning that up to 127. Scroll with C4 to increase or decrease. Hold Shift to move in larger increments. Press Exit to get out of that. Exit once more to get back to your home screen. And now we'll get into our drum track. Pressing the track select button for your drum track brings up the pads to play your drum sounds. This by default is a 909 kit, but to change it, you simply have to press the sound button and you'll be presented with a list of choices to choose your next kit from. Choosing either preset or project will allow you to load the entire kit into the track. Choosing WAV file or record will only allow you to load one drum sound at a time into the kit you have here. Backing out to the home screen and pressing Shift and the track select button will bring you to your settings for your drum track. The reason I bring you here is because if you are going to be changing your sounds in your kit, and you might change them throughout that track, I suggest turning this first option, sound source, from track to clip. What this will do will allow you to change out any or all sounds within each clip of the track, so you can essentially have a different drum kit for each clip or change out individual sounds for each clip. That is the main thing I wanted to make a point of. Drum and your tone tracks both can be set for the sound source clip to allow you to change the sounds between clips. Do this ahead of time so as it doesn't mess up what you've made when you do go to change it. Press Exit to get out of there, and then sound again. Back here, we'll go from a preset. Press C4 as a button or Enter. You'll notice you have bank options. You can filter that bank or everything by numerical or alpha by using your C2, and C4 C4 will scroll through all your kits available. There are over 80 drum kits available in here, preset, and you can customize each one to however you like. Pick a kit that works best for you by scrolling through. As you scroll, you can sample what the sounds sound like. Your TR-727s, you have all your classic Roland kits in here, as well as extras. Percussion kits are fun to have because they become a channel of their own to accompany your main drums. Scroll through finding ones you like, and once you've come across one that you feel is suitable for your genre or style of music you're playing, or at least closely represents it, go ahead and press C4 or enter. That now loads your kit into the track. There you have all your kit here. From here, you could get into sequencing, or if you would like, you could change out individual sounds now. Say you don't like that clap. Very simple. In a drum track, hold shift, press the pad of the instrument you want to change, and you'll see it will jump right into your kit edit mode and have the pad that you want to change highlighted. With that pad highlighted, press enter. From here, you're given options. Choose instrument select, and you can choose from preset or another instrument you have used in another project, or you can load one from your SD card or record from another audio source and load it to the pad. We will choose preset, and here you can see in the categories it now opens up into the styles or the categories of drums and percussions. Starts at all, goes through kicks, snares, sticks, claps, hats, cymbals, toms, perks, effects, voice hits, and special effects. Since we want to change out the clap and keep it with another clap, we'll go ahead and choose clap, come over to C4 and start sampling. Highlight the first one and tap your pad. Let's stick with a real clap. Press enter or C4. Simple as that, you have now loaded a new sound to that pad. While in the kit edit mode, you can see that you are offered parameters to change using your C control knobs, each one representing the parameter that it lies under. When a scroll bar is on the left and you see the function button flashing, that means you can scroll to a new section of more parameters. These are kind of your top level parameters that you change the most when editing a drum sound, so they are most readily available. If you were to get into deeper sound design of the drum hit, you would press enter on the pad you want to change, scroll with C4 over to instrument edit, and select that. Here you get into a much deeper instrument settings that we'll cover in a different video. The one thing I do want to show you in here that is the most important, of course, is right here where you see reverb, and then if you hit function, you can see the delay. Nearly every instrument in here has reverb applied to it. Not all of them have delay. It depends on the kit that you've selected. Sometimes might have presets. You can see the kick right here has only 30. Everything else is around 60 or so. This is the instrument send to the reverb up here, the master reverb up here. So a lot of people find the difficulty that no matter what they do and adjust, they don't hear it. That is because you have to come over here to this kit setting and then dial up your entire kit send and delay send. Now you got your reverb. Okay. We go back to the snare here. There's 60 reverb on it, but you don't hear anything till you do the kit send. Okay. Same thing with delay. We'll put some delay up. Go back over to the kit. Choose delay. Now you got delay. This is how you can do individual sends of each instrument to the delay and reverb up on the master effects. But to have any of them actually head out there, you have to open it up on the entire kit. So send the entire kit. I usually set this first to about how much full send I want this to go, and then I dial in my individual delays and sends, or delay and reverb sends for each instrument. If you set the kit one first, you could go back and start fine-tuning your sounds quicker. And again, you have a kit effect. All the 90 plus effects that come with this are available to put just on the drum track itself. This has nothing to do with your effects up here. That'll be more later. So getting in, you're going to need to start a clip on your drum track. Clips are recorded segments or patterns or sequences within each track. Each track gets 16 clips. With 8 tracks, that gives you a total of 128 clips. Your clips can vary from anything you'd like, from simple progressions through drums to completely different patterns and rhythms. Tone tracks are the same. You can have a build upon a tone sequence or a chord structure, or you can have it completely different melodies, clip by clip. Each clip does not need to be the same length as the one next to it or any of the other ones in the track. Each clip is independent of all the others. Now let's get into sequencing our drum track. The first thing you're going to want to do when sequencing the drum track is you're going to want to select how long you want that clip to be. By default right here, it always sets at 1 measure, which is your 16 steps. But if you press Shift and Measure or Shift and Clip, you'll be brought to the clip sequencing settings. Here you'll see you get to set your length of steps. This goes by steps, not measures, so 16 is 1. If you hold Shift and scroll, it will do by the measure. So 32, 48, 64 would be 4 measures. As you can see, 4 green dots lit up. The first being brighter, letting you know you were on measure 1 up here. So for the sake of brevity, we're going to keep this at a 1 measure clip for the moment. You'll see no other lights are lit up except for the one you were on. And we're going to keep it at a 1/16 scale with a forward mode. There are other modes to play the clip. You can experiment with those, and we'll get a little more into that later on. Once you've set your step length, simply exit out, and then you should be able to hit play, and you will see your steps go through. If that's what you see, you're good to go. Your clip is ready to record. There are different ways to do this. First way is your standard step sequencing. Select the pad of the instrument you want to sequence. We can start with a hi-hat and simply give it just an 1/8 note. I generally tend to use this for a metronome if I'm working in a simpler beat. There is also a metronome in the machine that can be accessed by pressing function and tempo. You'll see metronome on. Now when I play it, There are different varieties of metronome sounds, and you can adjust the volume on it as well. But for the sake, I'm not going to use it, but it is there. Again, function and tempo turns it on and off. So lay out a hi-hat sound, and then choose your next instrument to sequence. We'll do the kick at just a basic 4/4. Very simple like that. Now something you can start to do is, the next way to do it, besides just your step sequencing, is to instant record. So as you play the pads, it will record what you are doing. A couple of things to remember when doing this. First, you must hit the record button and you will see the track that you're going to record flash red, noting that anything you do on this track will be recorded. Pressing it again will turn it off and recording will stop. And you also have the Quantize button. This is helpful if you're wanting to keep your beats or your melodies locked into the steps. Turn it off if you wish to have a little more leniency to play notes as you wish for a more human feel. If you press Shift with Quantize, it will bring you into the Quantize settings. This is good to get into early on so you don't have to go back and mess with it later. The first being input quantize. That always happens anytime you press the quantize button. It turns on the input quantization. The area is the area you're looking before and after the individual step by a percentage. So say you're on step 5, it's going to quantize any hit that is 30% closer to 5 than 4 before, and all the way up to 70% past 5 before 6, before it will quantize to the next step. So you can adjust this. You can make it even 50-50, 50% before, so half a step before, half a step after. If you're within that range, it will quantize it to you. The sequencer quantize is where you can play unquantized and then go ahead and dial in your clip or your master to kind of bring it closer to the step, and it won't be fully quantized unless you're at 100%, then it'll be locked right on the step. So if you played and you wanted it to be off timing just a little for that swing feel and you don't want to knock it right into place, this is where you would use the clip quantizing. You just start dialing that percentage in as you're playing and listening until you hit that sound that you're looking for. Those are your quantize features. Good to know ahead of time. So with this one, and you wanted to press quantize, press record, and then you can start playing, and then just play in any note that you want to be recorded. Now that you have a basic pattern started, you can quickly duplicate this over to create a longer clip with more measures. This is a technique I use to quickly get multiple measures started so I can create fills or variation throughout the clip. This is how you would do it. With your clip already filled with your basics you want, all you're simply going to do is hold function and you'll press the right measure button, and you'll notice that your one measure will jump to 2 and the screen will say duplicate. Now you can see you have 2 and the green light will follow over to the measure you're on. If you wish to see or work on the sequence of a different measure, just press the left or right measure button and you will jump to that measure. Now to take this from 2 to 4, simply press function and the right again, it will duplicate your 2 measures and double that to 4 measures. If you were to do it again, it would duplicate it to 8 measures. For this sake, we'll keep it at 4, and the clip is now a 4 measure clip. And say, on this one, you'd like to change from your 8th to 16th. We'll go ahead and remove all these, and I'll show you a new way to input notes that is available in the 1.3 firmware update and newer. To do this, when you're on a drum track, you can enter note repeat mode by hitting chord. All your pads will turn blue, except the one you're hitting, and you will notice that every time you press the pad now, you get a note repeat. If you hold chord or the note you are repeating, you will see the first 6 steps light up. What this is indication of the beat repeat divisions. First being quarter note, second being quarter note triplets, third being 8th notes, then 8th triplets, then 16th and 16th triplets. So, this is another way you can input your notes simply by recording and hitting the repeat to get your notes put into sequence. We're going to work on measure 4, and we'll just give it a, since we have 8th notes, let's give it an 8th triplet feel on that last measure to see what it does. To get your triplets, you might want to take Quantize off so it doesn't lock it into any 16-step grid. Hit record, and then let it play. You'll see it'll start on 1, and right when it gets to 4, when you're ready to repeat, hold your note repeat. Let's see how we did. So I got a little something over here going on. Let's see what we have. We hit shift and then the step. Looks like our note is okay there. This one seems to have started a little early, it shows, 33 and 66. This is your triplet here. But I think with the open hat sitting here on 14, it's giving us a little, or 15, sorry, crash down. So let's see what this does now. Still there. Oh, I see what it is. We're still in our edit step. Now I'll take it out and try it. There you go. The triplets, you'll notice that they give you your first step in your 3 steps is right on. The second step starts a little early at plus 33%, or sorry, a little bit late. And then your third step is at a plus 66%. So it's 66% past step 3 going towards step 4 is where this note hits. If you have Quantize on, it won't let you do it. I could show you this in measure 4. We can go ahead and get out of your edit. We'll erase these. Put it in this mode. Make sure we have the 8th. We're going to turn Quantize on. And we'll try it again. Now listen. As you can see, it locks it in. So each of these steps, step 1 is start at 0, 2 and 3 are also at start 0. So if you want that triplet feel, you must turn Quantize off so that it can lay down the late hits on your steps. Good. Now that you have kind of a basic 4-bar beat going, you might want to go ahead and move on over to a tone track to try and add in a little something else to it to get you kind of moving along. So with that, the next thing we're going to take a look at are tone tracks. With tone tracks, you're always presented with an initial sound, which is a saw wave, basic oscillator sound, but you're going to want to change that quickly. Before you get into that, press Shift and select on that tone track to make sure you want to either keep your sound source as one tone for the entire track or sound source set to clip, where you can change tones for each clip in the track. In this example, I will leave it at clip to show you demonstration of different tones within the same track. From there, you're going to want to create your clip length. If you haven't selected anything else and you've done this right away, you will see that your measure button will be flashing along with the measure light. This allows you to simply press your left and right measure to set your record measure length. If you do this before selecting anything else, this is the easiest way to do it. Once you've selected a sound or done any other changes to the sound of the tone track, it will assume you want a 1-bar or 1 measure clip, and you will have to go into your shift measure or shift clip settings to change it. So again, if you set your clip first thing, then you have what you're ready for. After you've selected your 4 measures or however many you want, press your sound button and you will be presented with, of course, your loading of a tone. Preset is from the 3,000 plus preset tones you can select. Project can let you select a tone from another project. Perhaps you're doing a remix or a reversion, or you'd like to use the same baseline sound, just the sound, from another project in another song. This is where you pull from another project. WAV file lets you load a sample from your SD card onto partial 1, so the first oscillator, and you can get any sample rate from 32 kilohertz to 96 kilohertz. Of course, the higher kilohertz, the better quality of the sound and the more memory it will take. You can also record, where you can record any audio from an external source or even another track and use that as your tone track. In this, we'll use a preset. Press C4 or enter, and you'll see you have your categories for all your different sounds. You could filter it numerically, alphabetically, or through the banks. For this instance, we're going to keep it simple with a basic sound. The dark sub is one of my favorites. You can preview as you scroll. That sounds okay, but let's get it down a couple octaves. Really nice, heavy, warm, dark sub sound. When it says sub, I drop the octaves. So now we got a bass on our second track for me and how I kind of lay mine out. When you have your sound selected, be sure to hit enter or C4 before doing anything else to confirm that you want to keep that tone in that clip for that track. Now that you have your sound, you can go in and modify your sound by holding Shift and Sound, which will bring up your tone edit screen. This is a very comprehensive screen that has a lot going on here, which we will get fully into in another video that focuses on this screen specifically. But know that right off the bat, you have very familiar look where your control knobs will control changing any of these parameters. We do have a scroll. As you can see, it brings up more. And then use your cursors to scroll through all your different oscillators, the filter, your amp envelope for your sound, an EQ for your tone. You can load in one of 90 of the preset effects. Here's your little mix down if you need to send your tone to any of the delay or reverb up here, or give it a pan. You have two matrix options, which are covered in a more advanced video. You have your filter envelope, two LFOs, a pitch envelope, structure where you can have one oscillator modulating the other oscillator, which is also for the more advanced video, and a different easy mode or a partial mode. Okay, and then of course your control parameters where you could choose what octave it's in naturally, if the voice is a mono or poly. If you have Portamento on, the Portamento time. Notice the scroll bar and the feel, an aftertouch. I'm sorry, an analog feel of how, as you drift further and further away from the root tone, how analog sounds don't always stick with a specific change in frequency. It kind of, as you get further away from the root, it tends to be less accurate for the note. Not by a lot, but that's that analog feel that they're trying to go for. And you could dial that up or down, how much it changes. You can refer to the reference manual for more details on that. Anyway, so you have your sound on your tracks, and you want to lay something out. You have 4 measures to do it in. Usually the best way for any keys is to play them as they go. Sometimes step sequencing works for some people, but I find it to be not as intuitive or natural feeling, and a little more difficult to dial in everything. So you would with this one, the same kind of thing. You're going to play your track. If you want to quantize or not, you can. We're not going to in this one because I want to show you another feature that's come in that we can go over and see if it's something that you like. So that sounded just a basic, very housey, trancey kind of off-hit bass line. We're going to do this real simple. So we're just going to take it and we're going to record it. So it sounds a little bit off, but what we can do is from here, with this track selected, we can go into our step shift, and you'll see it'll bring up your step edit mode again. And from here, hit function real quick. This gives you a utility that is new in 1.30 and up, where you can shift steps left or right, or shift them up or down semitones. But you also notice up here there's one of 2. If you press right on the cursor, you could do an after quantize. So now you can hear your sound. It sounds like a couple of them are a little off, but we're going to go ahead and quantize. So that sounds a lot better. Now that we've quantized those in, here you can see that I placed a note on the first one, and I'm not really looking to do that, so I can press clear and then the step, and it will clear that step out. Hit exit to get out of your step edit mode. And now you're back to your notes. You can scroll through your measures if you're looking for a continuous pattern. 3, 7, 11, 15. If you press measure right, you'll scroll through your 4 measures. Make sure none of those steps jump, and you'll know that you're on the same steps for each measure. Looks good. So with that in mind, you have your So now that you got your 2 sounds, we're going to go over to our third one for a more lead sound or a pad, or something with the higher note ranges. And here again, you can see we haven't done any changes or selections to the channel yet, so we have the option of doing our measures. You can choose 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, however many you need, up to 8. Once you have that selected, press sound, and then you could choose a sound from different places. We'll go ahead and choose a wave file so I could show you how to load it from your SD card. Press enter or C4. It will look on your SD card for anything that has been placed in the sample folder. There are a few here. If you use your C1, you can scroll, or your cursor to scroll. Apologize. And then you can use function to preview. We'll go find a synth. That one, or maybe not that. We already have a bass sound. So let's go with, we'll go with that one. Once you have it, you do have the option now in Tone Tracks after 1.30 and up to do some editing to the file before you import it. So let's check that out. You can either press C4 or enter. Oh, sorry, press C4, not enter. Enter loads it. C4 will bring you up so you can preview it. So it sounds like there's a lot of dead space in there. We're going to go ahead and dial our end down. Hold shift and it'll jump further. Carefully don't jump all the way to the beginning. And then we'll just dial back here. Give it a little tail just to make sure. Sounds good. Here you're also given the option to normalize. If it happens to be a lower volume or quieter sample, you can go ahead and normalize it. Or if it seems too loud, you can normalize down. You'll notice a right arrow. Pressing the right cursor will bring you to more options. In these options, you can also, if you had a longer multiple hit or multiple sound sample, you'd be able to slice it up and apply it to different pads or take from there. That's for future video. Anyway, we have our sound. We want to use it for this tone track. All we simply do is once we have it, hit enter to load it, and then exit and exit and exit. Now we should have that sound here. So now you have it loaded into your tone track. We have that. We have our bass line and our drum kit. If you are not musical or don't know very much about music theory, but want to stay within a specific scale so you don't accidentally play wrong notes, you can do this by pressing Shift and Note on a tone track. Shift and Note will, one, allow you to transpose your notes. Then you'll have to ignore your letters on your pads because they do not correspond now. As this, it was originally a C, it would now be E, because we've transposed it up 4 semitones. Up 2 would be D. So this is now E, and it transposes accordingly. So you'll have to ignore the printed letters if you transpose. The other one I wanted to show you was scale. It's by default at chromatic, which shows you what looks like a piano keyboard with your white keys and black keys. And then anytime you change off of that, you notice your pads change their looks. Now you have 2 octaves of whatever scale you're in. This one says minor, major. You can hear the difference. A Dorian. All the way up to a whole variety. Minor pentatonics, blues, bebops, a minor blues. You'll see if they have less than 8 notes or 7 notes within their octave or their scale, it will cut it down and you'll have a note for the next octave up down here. I believe it's this one. So there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 within the scale before you're up to the next octave. There's your last one. So, something to keep in mind if you're using a scale that is fewer notes within that octave. So with this, we'll just use a harmonic minor. Sure. Now that you have it, you could exit out of there. And now all across your pads will now be, any tone track will have the same scale. So you can play in the same scale across your project without worrying about playing wrong notes. So you got something simple like that. If you want to do it, I'm going to quantize because well, let's see how we do without the quantize. We'll hit record. So we're going to start there. So once we record, it'll start recording our songs. So as you can see, it's quite easy to just start laying something in. You'll also notice that since I hit 2 notes, they both appear in the step edit mode, so you know that you have both notes. And what those notes are, their velocity. When they started, as you can see, these are a little bit off, they're not on 0. And then the length of the note, each one. You can adjust the individual length or all of them together. Holding function will let you move both or all notes in a step at the same time for each control knob. So I'll show you here. Press function and you'll notice that the length of both change. If I let go, only the one highlighted will change. Okay. That's laying down your tones and laying down a drum track. So we got this sound. It's sounding okay, but we want to beef it up a little bit. So let's get over to our effect, switch it on. We'll try and find let's do like a phaser might be fun. We could just start playing with it as it goes. So you got a little extra in there. And what if we want to get a little reverb? So now I got a little reverb going in there. Why not? Let's go back down to that effect, find something different. Step phasers. Infinite phasers. Yeah, the ring modulator sounds kind of nice. Tremolo. Auto pan would be good. A rotary sound. And then once you find what you're looking for, second chorus would be nice. You got your delays, a Juno 106 chorus. If you want that noisy one. A little drive on it. See if we can find something. Something like that. So I would have added delay on its own so I don't have to mess with the delay on the master effects for the whole overall. Get a little filter on there. Okay, so those are kind of how you create tone tracks and a drum track to get you started without getting too deep into that rabbit hole, because it's not necessary. With this right here, as you can see, just a little tweaking around, you can start creating something that is quite satisfactory to what you're looking for. If you're in need of deeper parameter tweaking, it is all there, but unnecessary to create. So what I wanted to show you next is the looper track and how you can use it to re-sample internal tracks, or how to just sample something coming in externally. They're specifically created to record a loop of something that can be played over and over and over. It's generally not much for one-shots, but it can be used for that. If you're going to use one-shots, there are other methods that I find to be a little easier to use and better to manage. In this instance, we're just going to record an external source and then record from the other channels. If you're going to record from an external source, you will need to set up how you're going to receive that audio. To do so, you're going to want to press Shift and Input. This will bring up your input, output, and recording settings. Here you'll see mic sensitivity in case you have a microphone set up to your external input. Your external input is in stereo or mono. Generally, if you have a mic, you're going to want to go mono, or a mono synth that's coming in mono. This is what you'd set it for. And then, of course, your record source and where you would like to pull your audio from. Since we're going to be doing this from the external in, I do have an MX1 on the side that has a couple things in it. We'll be recording from there. We're going to set it up for record source, external in, and we'll just record 2 measures. Once you have that, you can hit exit. And now, with input still highlighted, your value knob will turn the volume up on your external in. Hold shift, scroll it all the way to full volume of 255. With the looper track to record the external in, we want to set our measures as I showed you with the shift input. This says 2 measures. Let's bump it up to 4 for the sake of having a little movement throughout the clip. As you can see, we have the 4 flashing lights showing you that they are ready to record. And all you have to do is, once you press play, and then once you hit record, when the master clock comes back around to the top, the looper will start recording. So I have the JU06A plugged in here, and we have this sound here. Okay, we'll do that just for the 2 bars and see what comes of it. So we'll get the beat going. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to hit record right at the beginning of the measure before we want to do this. Let's try this again. I forgot to bring the sound up. So let's try this with the sound up. So now we turn down the volume of the external source. As you can see, this is simply on the looper now. And there you go. That's how you would record from an external source. Doing this helps you do multiple loops, especially if you have a mixer of some sort with multiple machines. You can record quite a few loops as you go along. So now let's just show you from a internal standpoint how to do another loop. Now that we have that one, with this one we're going to go ahead and record these 3 tracks. It's nothing special, but I want you to see how to do this. To do it, hit Shift and input again. You're going to choose your record source. Now you can see there's all the options from your external in, from the PC USB in you can record, and all the individual tracks, as well as the mix out, which means everything going out to the master and mix out can be then resampled into the looper track. We'll do a 4 measure just like we have for these tracks are all 4 measures. We'll go ahead and exit out of that. We will get it ready since it's going to be these tracks as they go. We might as well just, as soon as we hit start, record. So to do so, hit record, hit play. Now that we've done that, we could turn these tracks down and you'll see what we've recorded. We'll turn this down and we'll turn these up so you can hear. So you see that's how you would do an internal resampling. Even doing effects to it. So let's try and record this, and as we tweak some knobs and see if that comes out on the looper. So you can see the changes you make take effect. Okay, that's the basis of the looper tracks. With the looper, you have your clip settings that you can adjust. Again, there's this step length. You can shorten that. You can send it into reverse if you'd like. Can be quite interesting. And the looper clips also have the clip chain function. That's it for the basics of those different types of tracks that to really get you going on a project and to kind of get you started. Other videos are out there to show you some finer points of some of the other functions or more difficult features, but I do want to leave you with a couple other tips that can help with your workflow. If you have a MIDI keyboard controller plugged into your MC-707, there is a new feature called MIDI Auto Channel. And what this does is it allows that MIDI keyboard to play each and every channel, except for a looper, but each and every channel as you select it. Okay, so I'm using my keyboard. Okay, so just by choosing select and keeping the same MIDI channel on the keyboard, I can play across my channels. To do this, you're going to hit Shift and Knob Assign, which brings you to the utility menu. You want to go right into your system settings by pressing Enter or C4 and scroll down in your cursor over to MIDI, and then you will scroll down all the way until past all your track channels, you'll see a MIDI RX auto channel. That's receiving the signal of auto channel. Set that channel right there to the channel on your keyboard. When those two are the same, you can exit out. Actually, before we do that, you do want to make sure of a couple other things. You want to make sure that your MIDI sync is in auto, and that would be about it, I think. So with the MIDI auto channel and the MIDI sync, you should be able to play your tracks. As you can see, MIDI auto channel. Super handy feature that'll help you live record a lot of your tracks in if you want to, because it's helpful with the sequencing. That's about it for starting a new project from scratch and how to get you going. I know this has been a little longer video than what most of you that have subscribed to me are used to seeing, but I really hope it gets you off on the right foot to creating new and exciting projects and showing me what you got. Anyway, I hope you found this helpful. Hit the thumbs up to like it, ring the bell to subscribe, and as always, thanks for watching.